Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and we are here for our last Q&A for now. For this Kickstarter, we've been doing a Q&A every Friday to promote the book, to get you guys excited, to talk to the people that are buying the book that I'm very excited about. And officially, we have really reached up to over $5,000. We have about 90 backers right now, which is amazing. It's actually more than that because friends and family gave like checks and stuff, so technically it's more backers, but like officially, digitally, it's like 90. But there are actually more than that, which is amazing. So I just want to thank you guys for backing up the project. It's been a really fun ride, and this is just the beginning, really just the beginning of Like Father, Like Daughter. We me and Sean are talking about already plans for issue 1, how we're going to release it. I'm sure we're going to talk about that even more once Kickstarter is over. So yeah, very, very excited about that. And just thank you guys for being here, for watching the show, for supporting me. And I really hope you guys like the book once it's released. So I'm going to turn over to Rashawn first and just talk about, whatever you want to talk about also about the Kickstarter and it reaching its goal and over its goal.
Well, I just like Kat, I want to definitely thank everybody for their support. This has been a big project for us as well, for the simple fact that this is our first release that we will actually be printing and publishing. So it's a big deal for us. We thank everybody for their participation. It has been a really interesting and long ride, and I'm really glad to see it come to fruition. Really thankful for everything that everybody's done, all the support, the tweets, the retweets, the Facebook posts, the extra dialogue that was generated, all of the conversation. Beyond that, we're just going to get this project done and wrapped up, get all these rewards out to you guys, and beyond that, start focusing on issue number 2.
Yeah, definitely. We're already in talks of, how we're going to get that to you guys, but of course we need to actually get issue 1 in stores, which it is possible now. We're definitely going to have issue 1 being sold, so which is very exciting. But we're going to talk about issue 2, me and Rashawn too, and how we're going to get that to you guys, but that all depends on sales with issue 1. So of course this is a Q&A, so ask questions in the comments below, and I just reviewed a bunch of comics, and that means I have digital codes for you guys. And we're going to ask you questions about the Kickstarter and everything along throughout the whole entire, throughout the Q&A. It's about an hour long. Jay can tell me whenever you think it's ready to give a comic away. And you can tell me. But I'm going to move it on to Jay now to start moderating our panel here. And again, ask us questions in the comments because that's how the show keeps going.
Thank you, Kat. First, I want to congratulate both Rashawn and Kat for a successful Kickstarter.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And I also wanted to lend my thanks, and from not just me, but from Kat's friends over at Comic Frontline. We all want to thank you for backing up one of our family members with this Kickstarter, and we're glad that she's getting her first comic book out there. So I just wanted to thank everyone out there. Thank you for helping Kat get to #1 published. Okay. All right. I got a question for you, Kat.
Okay.
And since you just mentioned about reviewing comic books, that's what my first question is going to be. You are probably the first reviewer I've seen who takes particular issue with cover art, where the cover art should match the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, during this process, did you put it out to short fuse that you want to make sure that the covers always match the issue?
Yeah, I never particularly said that to Short Fuse Media. I always, they always sent me the covers or whatever was going to be the cover for the issue or, for the webcomic. But you've seen the promo images like
yes.
Wes, and yeah, so you've got seen it. But yeah, they always give me the idea of what the cover is going to be, and if I see that has nothing to do with the issue, I will say I think we need to do something that has to do with the issue. Because like I don't like misleading covers just to sell a book. I just not an advocate of it. If the character's not in the issue, they shouldn't be on the cover. So yeah, definitely a big advocate about it. But since we've only done issue 1, I haven't had a problem with that. But definitely something I always keep in mind.
Okay. Rashawn, I want to ask you similar question. How much input do you go to Cat for stuff like covers or anything when it comes to your side of the creative process on this?
Well, we don't. I guess the easiest way to answer that is to basically go to Cat's scripts. Cat's real descriptive. She gave real good descriptions on what she was looking for. The entire feel of the book was really there from the jump. I mean, you can basically see the visual. You can see the posters jumping out of her words. So, you know, we do the sketch work and we send it to her and we actually just go from there. In particular, with with the cover for the actual first book, she actually wanted to go with a different image for the cover, and it was actually just the promo work. And I said, well, wait a second. Well, we got the actual cover coming. And when I sent her that, she says, okay, yeah, that's the one. That is the cover. So it worked out pretty good. That the concept artist that he did a phenomenal job with just bringing the same feel to the project that Kat had already established in her writing, because he read the same thing that we read, and he came up with his conclusion and his version of the illustration. So it ended up working out cool. And our art team, they usually work like that. We have a pretty good thing where we can all piggyback and say, okay, this is what I see, this is what I see, a quick dialogue between each other, and then we send the artwork in, and it usually matches what people are expecting.
Yeah, I've read some of Kat's work. She is very descriptive in it, and the imagery does pop out at you. So, congratulations, Kat, on that, because that's I think that's a talent when you're writing, because especially for an artist that you're not, personally in contact with, like some bigger comic companies, they have like the artists and the writers all in the same office building, but when you're doing this, it's a lot easier. You have a writer who's talented enough to actually be descriptive enough in their text that the artist can feel free to work within their own imagination, but at the same time be true to your vision. So that's a talent, I think.
Yeah, I've always been a very visual person, so I always like adding that to my scripts just because I love those visuals, and I love that the artists of Short Fuse Media have really taken those visuals and, brought it to life. It's amazing to see it, and yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Since you brought up the visuals, I was going to go to a viewer question, but first I want to ask this as a follow-up. I know that you are very visual because you are also a big TV movie fan. So I know like a lot of your thought process comes from seeing it like that. With this, did you when you wrote it as a comic strip, as a comic book, sorry, not strip. You wrote it as a comic book. Did you visualize it as on page or as on screen as you were writing it? Because there's two different ways that you can vision things. Did you envision it as you were looking at it on a screen, or as if you were a reader reading it? And which way is easier for you?
Yeah, I would say both, because I originally wrote this as a screenplay, so I was picturing it more as a screenplay, and as you see, the story arc Bold is very much paced as a screenplay. But when I converted it into a comic book, that was actually the hard part, is visually seeing the panels, and then I would go actually to comic books, or I was reading a comic book that week, and be like, oh, that's how people do their page layouts. Like, how many panels do people usually do on a page? So I think that's the hardest part of, learning to be a comic writer instead of a TV/movie writer, I'm more used to doing. But yeah, so as you said, I'm a very visual person, so I definitely see everything that's happening as I'm writing, which is kind of cool. I know other people sometimes or sound people. Definitely not a sound person. Visual. That's why I love television and comics. So.
That's cool. I always like to know the creative process of various people because everyone's a little bit different, and I like to pick people's brains about that. And I know viewers like that too. So we have a viewer question from Scotty Showman, and it's for Comic Uno and Short Fuse Media. And it says, take us back to the moment when you found out that your Kickstarter was fully funded. What was that like? And for Comic Uno, where does getting your Kickstarter fully funded rank in greatest moments in your young life?
Yeah.
So first, let's go back to I'm gonna break this down into 3 parts. Okay, so first I'm gonna start with Rashawn, and I'm gonna ask Rashawn, the moment that you found out that the Kickstarter was fully funded, what was your thoughts? Where were you? You know, what was your reaction?
I was I was actually driving from a meeting. We had just got I guess I could say it. We had just got a demo. I was previewing a demo for an actual video game that's being done for the next project that we're working on.
Oh,
So I
cool.
was already on a high horse from that, and I actually got an email from Kat because I wasn't near my computer to get the Kickstarter notification or actually look at the Kickstarter notification. So I got the email from her, and she said, "Hey, we hit the goal." So I had to pull over in my car, and I said, "Oh wow, that made me feel real good." And I text my girl, and the first thing she said is, "Yep, the next Kevin Feige." Because that's one of the monikers that I go with as my role with Short Fuse. I call myself like the Kevin Feige of Short Fuse Media Group. So I was really, really happy because I put a lot of uh, time into coming up with some of the particulars on some behind the scenes things, and it showed that it had some kind of payoff for me. So it was just a personal thing for me, not speaking for the company. It was just a more personal thing. Plus, speaking for the company, it's our first project that was actually fully funded. We put something out to the world, and of course, Cat's fan base is the ones that really did everything. But it's still something that we were a part of, and we like having success stories associated with us. So it felt real
Yeah,
good.
cool. I always love to hear that too. So it's a good question, Scotty Showman. I always like to hear where people were when they found out good news, because it's always fun to share that moment. Kat, that same exact question to you.
Yeah, for me, it was a Monday, and my Mondays kind of suck. So I wake up at like 7 in the morning. I have my internship until like 5. I eat dinner, and then I go to class until 7 to 10 and get home at 12 at night. So Mondays aren't a great day. And then finding out my Kickstarter was fully funded, I was at my favorite restaurant of all time. Usually on Mondays, I go to my favorite restaurant just to, have a good day before my 3-hour class. And yeah, it was crazy that I got it at that moment at my favorite restaurant, eating some pizza, and it was great. I was so happy to get it fully funded before time. It was like a week before or something, maybe a couple. I don't remember how many days. It was like 5 days or something, and I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy! We still have 5 days left." I was expecting to be like really to the wire to get that money. So and to get fully funded, it's just a proof of you guys, how dedicated you guys are as viewers, as someone that wants to see my success, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. So yeah, thanks for making my Monday awesome, and obviously is making this year awesome.
Okay, which leads into the second part of Scotty Showman's question. Where does having your Kickstarter fully funded rank in the top moments of your life?
I mean, it's up there. Definitely, it's up there. I mean, there's a lot of great moments in my life, and this is definitely
Top 10?
Yeah, top 10. Definitely being published at 20 years old. I mean, it's nuts. Just thinking about that. And I'm still in college, being published. Yeah, top 10 definitely.
And it's a credit to both you and Short Fuse for putting together this tremendous media campaign, because between Twitter, the excellent website, I still love that website, the interesting ideas on getting people engaged into it so early, which I think a lot of comic book companies really forget about right now. They forget about their fan base, and you hit that fan base so ready from the get-go. You engaged them, you got them to interact with you. I think that's tremendous work on both your parts. The next question is from G-Day, and I actually did remember that name. Because I took it, I locked it in my head from the last time, so he actually does explain what his name is GA, and his question is, how are you going to use your experience as a reviewer to improve your comic book? Are you going to take the mistakes from other writers and learn from them?
Yeah, I mean, as a comic book reviewer, this project helped me, tremendously. Or, being a comic book reviewer helped me make this project, just because I analyze comics a lot. As you guys, I've reviewed 22 comics today, so I think pacing is always a big thing for me. And I hope Like Father Like Daughter is great pace for you guys. I don't really like slow issues. I like moving the story and character development being a big thing. I know some stories just don't care about their secondary characters and they just forget about them. And TV shows especially too, I think secondary characters are very important, so they're highlighted here in this series. So yeah, being a comic book reviewer just helped me learn more about writing. Helped me learn about storytelling in general and just knowing how to analyze a comic, a TV show, a movie, or just any piece of media. So yeah, this experience has totally helped me.
I agree. It totally puts you in a different mindset because you pick at things and you look at them in different lights than an average reader will. Because when you review it, you have to put your mindset into a different frame. So I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to ask the viewers a question. I'm going to have Kat ask the viewers a question.
You get a prize.
Yeah, for a prize. So let's actually Kat, would you mind if I ask the question?
Yeah, you ask. Don't worry. I'm just going to pick out a comic
Okay.
that's good.
All right. You're going to get a digital code for a comic book from this week.
You're going to get access. You're going to get this week.
This is a big event from Marvel right now. You're getting a big event code from Marvel. And the question I was thinking of is, when the Kickstarter came out and all, what made you contribute to Kat's Kickstarter? What was it about the Kickstarter that made you say, I want to contribute to this? And while we wait for that,
whoever,
go ahead, Kat.
I was gonna say whoever has a really good answers first, whatever, we'll give the code to you. I'm writing it all down on my notepad, so right after I'm done, or maybe tomorrow afternoon, you'll have the code in your inbox.
All right. While we're waiting for the response to that, I'm going to ask the next question from a viewer, which is SMDOWNH9. And they say, I know this idea is shallow, but will you review Like Father Like Daughter? I want to hear that review. Will you review your own comic?
Probably not. I probably won't review my own comic, but I do have an alternative for that. When the comic does come out, every issue, I will have a Q&A like on Friday because it gives you guys enough time to read it. But it's not like the week after. I will have one on Friday where I'll go in depth talking about the comic and like going page by page, getting your questions, and going in depth into the issue. So that's something I will do, but I won't review my own comic.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit harder for you because especially if you're a writer and you're a reviewer, it's kind of hard to separate the two.
Yeah.
Because you got the love for it's like, criticizing your baby. Oh, you're too lazy. Get up and walk already. A mother can't do that to their child, and a writer can't do that to their own work.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep this question in mind because I have a question coming up later that I'm going to ask the audience, the viewers. So I'm going to keep that question in mind. All right, for Rashawn, with the Kickstarter #1 funded, now we're going to start seeing some more work on the website, or what can we expect on the website from now to the time the Kickstarter is launched? I mean, the issues are launched. I'm sorry.
You're going to see some more promo work on the website. We also have a couple things that we're working on, trying to get some content to consistently be updated on the website. The website's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be some heavy discussions around the website. So beyond that, it'll be some more announcements pretty soon.
Ah, cool. All right. Because like I said, I really like the website. I like the layout. It's simple, but it's interactive and it's fun. So I really like the look of it. I like the feel of that website.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have another question from Charlie Molina, and they ask, "Hello, my question is, now that comic books are being turned into movies and TV shows, have you ever imagined your comic being in either of those if this comic book has such huge success?" Especially, that's really relevant, especially with, you know, like, a lot of, like, what is it, what's that new comic book by, the guy who made it? Yeah, Outcast. It's already being cast already, and it's like 3 or 4 issues in. It's already picked up by Showtime, and it's getting cast already. So that's a very relevant question for this time in comic book medium. So what's your answer, Kat?
Well, this started out as a screenplay, so yeah, it's already written up. So yeah, I would love to make this probably more of a movie than a TV show, even though it's going to be serialized because it's going to be an ongoing comic book. I just always saw it more as a movie, again, especially the first arc, and it's already written up. So yeah, I would love to see this as a movie. But of course, I wouldn't want to do like Outcast, or it's like 4 issues in, here's the movie. But hey, if there's an opportunity for it to become a movie and it's 4 issues in, I'm not going to say no. So yeah, I would like to see it one day as a movie, but I'm thinking about the comic book first, and we'll take it.
And plus, like you said, this was originally written as a movie. So if it does 4 issues in, 2 issues in, gets that option, it's not like you're writing it for the movie. It's already been written for a movie, so it's already there. Now, would you actually use the script that you originally used, or would you use the one that you tweaked for the comic book? Because I know there's some differences between the two. Which one would you actually use?
I mean, I would say I would have to fix my first movie screenplay because it's a first draft, so there's like spelling mistakes, so that's one thing I'm going to have to do. But the overall story I don't want to change, really. Maybe there'll be extra things. It's only 90 pages, so maybe I'll like add a couple of things here and there as the comic book explores more things. I'm sure I'm going to add more as I read the comic book. But yeah, so I'm going to write a second draft. That's the best way to put it. I have to fix some things in there. But as the comic book goes along, it's being fixed already.
It's an ever-evolving project.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, are you actually doing that as you're doing it? Like, as you're writing the scripts, are you adding to the screenplay as well? Like, are you jotting down ideas, well, this will work great in the screenplay? Because I know that screenplay is your original baby. And I know as a writer, you got that need to keep that, original baby happy. So are you, like constantly going back to the screenplay, or is it just 100% focused on the comic book and you're going to come back to that later?
It's right now about the comic book, and there's ideas I want to add in the comic that's not in the screenplay, but I haven't really touched the screenplay. Like, I obviously look at the screenplay to jot down ideas for the comic, but I don't really fix anything in the screenplay because I have all the ideas in my mind anyways because it's in the comic, so it'll be easy to fix when I go back to it, and hopefully, maybe make a movie out of it one day. Who knows?
Okay. To continue with the screenplay idea and versus the comic book. Movies and comic books are rated a little differently. So, like, did you have to tone anything down for the comic book, or, maybe tone it up a little for the comic book? Like, where was your thought process on that with the rating way?
I think it's all really PG-13. So obviously it's not an all ages book, but I didn't really make it rated R as I could have. Like, I could have done a lot of curse words. I've only done like a few. Like, there's like shit in there, but other than that, I try to keep it pretty clean, just because it's my first book. I don't want to shoo away people. So, and honestly, I just don't think it's a book that needs to have curse words. There's books that do, and this one doesn't really need it. So yeah, I didn't really have to tone anything down or anything, so that was pretty good. I would say they're both pretty PG-13. Yeah,
there are mature themes in it, but within a reason, because you do have like child abandonment and heartbreak and all that. So there are more mature themes. It's not a kiddie down dumb book, like she didn't dumb it down. No, it's very intellectual and stimulating for all audiences to read. But she's just trying to make it so even you can let your 13-year-old, 14-year-old kid read it while you read it yourself, which is
And,
always great.
and there's a lot
It's
of
great to be able to share that comic book with someone.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think an adult will get it differently from a child. Like child's gonna really, especially like a teenager, is gonna relate it in Casey's eyes, and maybe the adult will relate it into the parent's eyes. Or, well, hopefully not, but maybe. And also, there's a lot of political ideas, so I think adult probably will get those a little bit more than a teenager. But you never know. So yeah.
How does it feel to write for a broad audience like that? Because you're writing for, you're trying to appeal to all people, different races, sexes, ages. How was it to write that? Like, do you feel that you're going to put that balance into your characters? Is there that diversity in your book?
Yeah. So age range, I think it's very diverse because you have adults, you have teenagers. You don't have little kids, but you do have adults and teenagers. Diversity is something I'm working on another project now just for myself, and I can't really write much with like Father Like Daughter because it's already been planned a lot. So I'm trying to like as much, obviously not shelf it because I'm doing work here, but not right as much. I don't want to be up to issue 10. We are only up to issue 1, so I have up to issue 3 written, and I don't want to write any more issues of Like Father, Like Daughter until we get the wheels turning a little bit more. So I started writing another book, and it's very much in the process. And I'm trying to keep that one more diverse because there's not a lot of diversity in this one because it's like Staten Island, southern Staten Island, so there's not too much diversity. But I do want to get more diversity in my next book. So yeah. The diversity.
Yeah, you're writing like your area, so it's good to draw from that. I also noticed in the promo art, Casey is wearing a private school type uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any influenced by you going to a private type school growing up?
Yeah, it definitely was. Well, if you know Staten Island, it has a lot of private schools in Staten Island, so it's very known that there's a lot of private high schools. And so there's that idea that there's less public schools, actually. So, yeah, it definitely drew that I went to private school. I know a lot about private school. I know about the uniforms. I didn't do the strictness of private school. There's not as much there. But, yeah, I definitely did that for my own influence and for my own life. I just thought it would be relatable. And also, you don't really get to see private schools that often in comic books. You always see public schools. So, like, why not?
That's true. That is actually true. Everyone goes to a public school because I think they try to hit the general public, and by being so diverse, they're actually isolating a group of people because a lot of people do go, especially in today's world, they go to private schools, religious schools, and charter schools. So I think that's a big thing right now. So that's pretty cool to see. Short fuse. Now, number 1 is fully funded, and what's going to go with, why should people still contribute? I know we still got, let me check, still got 39 hours to go. Why should people still contribute when you already reached your goal?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I would say just to make sure that they ensure that the project is that much better. Maybe we could throw in extra things at the end. Who knows? Maybe we could possibly look at taking care of the shipping cost. Anything. I mean, who knows what we could end up doing because we had no clue as far as what we could do as far as just getting it funded and going beyond that. We put stretch goals down as far as we can jump right into the second issue. But just because certain rewards or anything like that isn't announced doesn't mean that we can't add anything if we have certain funds allocated left over. It's not anything that we're sitting and saying, okay, well, we just want to put a bunch of money in our pocket. The goal for us was to get a project out. The goal for Cat was to get a project out. And we want to use those funds to make sure that we can deliver the best project we can. So, I would say just keep donating until the end. But if people chose not to donate, our goal was hit, which is a great thing, and the project is going to go. It's greenlit, is going to go, and we're going to make it do exactly what we said we're going to do from day one.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that and say that if you do give him more money, or just back it up $5 or whatever, you do get the book. So if you're interested in
Yeah.
reading the book and you haven't backed it up yet, you get the book definitely, and it's going to be mailed to you, so you don't have to worry about going to your store or getting it offline. You could buy, you'll get it right away, and you can get other prizes too. So I think that's also the luxury of being part of the Kickstarter, and you get your name in there if you give enough. So yeah, that's also a luxury. And let's get to 100 backers. That'd just be like a cool number to hit, So that is my new goal.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, there's a lot of books that come out, and you get them maybe every 3 months. Right now, like, especially if you read like Kick-Ass, like they come out like every 3 or 4 months. So the more money you contribute to right now, you can also push issue number 2 coming out that much sooner, because the more money they have to go towards it, the faster Rashawn can get his people to work on there, and it can come out. So you really want to see issue number 1 and then read issue number 2 within a shorter period of time. Throw some money up there, and it's going to a good cause. Like Kat said, you're getting the comic book, you're getting the rewards. There are some really great incentives, especially if you get, like, you can be at, I believe it's $100. You get to have a cameo in the comic book. How cool is that? You get to be in the comic book. Everyone wants to be in a comic book.
Yeah.
So I mean, and there's other rewards like T-shirts. Get like Follow Like Daughter action figure made. That's pretty cool. So you still got 39 hours. They can contribute to that. And do we have any more questions, Kat, or anyone answer the Kickstarter question?
Not at the moment, but I'm gonna definitely. Oh, actually, I think we just got one. I'm definitely gonna remind people to definitely ask questions, so we could get some more. Yeah, I think we just got a couple. I don't know why, but it's Google Plus. It doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes Yahoo and YouTube and Google Plus, they work a little slow when they update the questions. I don't know why. It just happens sometimes.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions. This one's for Rashawn, so as I get more of the questions, you can ask Rashawn that one.
Okay.
Okay, and I think we got an answer for one of them too, so I'm just gonna copy and paste the answers too. Okay.
While you're doing that, I'm actually going to ask Rashawn this question. Okay, Kat?
Yeah, that's fine.
From SMDOWNH9 asks, for Rashawn, who is the artist of Father Like Daughter? Because the one picture I saw looks great. Now, before Rashawn actually answers this, would you mind writing in the comments which picture that was? Because I know there have been multiple artists on it, and this way Rashawn can actually answer that particular question, that particular picture. But Rashawn can name, the artists that have been involved up to now, if you want, Rashawn.
Yeah, no problem. The concept art was done by Juan Pablo. He's a very talented artist that we use for a lot of concept art that we get done. He doesn't necessarily work on the projects with us, but just fleshing out the ideas. He's really good and really talented at doing that, and we use him a lot for that. The webcomic was done by a female named Chester Lopez. She, again, bang up job, and she actually is the total package, because she in particular does she does the pencils, she does the inks, and she also does her own colors.
That's a lot of work.
Right. Our concept artist Juan, so I can give him credit too. He does his own pencils, inks, and colors as well. But Chester, she does a really more detailed version with her.
Yeah, he's Juan. I would say then sounds more like maybe a designer type person, like he designs the characters. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that's what Juan is.
Okay.
He's strictly a concept artist for us.
Okay.
Now he does do some other work, but we pretty much use him more so for concepts. And then
Okay.
Chester, she had a style that really I thought really resonated with the style that what Kat was looking for with some of the reference material that she gave us. Because on some of the reference material that she gave us, some of the cover images looked a certain way, but then the interior pages on what she was referencing looked a different way. So for the cover images, it more so referenced with Chester style. Now the interior pages, though, we went with our main artist, the one that did most of the work that's on the actual Kickstarter. That's from Wayne Brown. He's a very talented artist, and he is the one that's doing the actual book, and that fit more along the lines of the style that Kat referenced us with on her for interior pages of the book that she was actually a fan of. That she said, "Hey, I like this style." So he's really good with facial expressions and things of that nature. Really good with action scenes. He can go superhero. He can go realistic. And I think Wayne's going to be a real deadly force within the industry once he really gets his name out there.
That's cool. Great
And
to hear that.
also, before you go, the comments that are leave for the answers, if you want to pick the winner, you can. Like, it's your choice.
Right.
So I'll give the digital code so you can tell me who you think, to
Right,
get it. That way yeah.
I'll pick out someone in just a moment. I just wanted to ask Rashawn one question about the because you did mention the Kickstarter page art. Who did the chibis? Because like I said, they're really cute and they're fun characters. So who did the chibi art?
You know what? And thanks for bringing that up, Jay. I actually forgot to mention that. That was a totally different artist. So we actually had 4 artists work on this project. That was an artist that goes. I don't know their real name because they won't tell me, but they go by Disney. So if
Disney.
that's their name. They call themselves Disney because they want to work for Disney.
Which I can see them working with that art style because it's really well done. I love the shading and the subtle tones of it. So really well done for Disney.
I agree. I love it. It's so cute.
Yeah, that one was actually a surprise for Kat. We didn't even show Kat that before we posted it up. I just felt it'd be something different, and when I saw it, I said, "Oh yes, this has to go on the Kickstarter page and make it stand out." And then, when Kat
saw it,
too. When Kat saw it, she said, "Oh, I like it," and I said, "All right, yeah, good job, we won again, we win it."
Oh yeah, that's a little weakness for Kat because she loves Tiny Titans, so
yeah.
They had that little like chibi almost style to them. So I know Kat loves that.
Yeah, it was so great, and I didn't expect it, and I was like, oh my god, it's Tiny Titans' version of Invulnerable and Casey. It was so cool. I loved it.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Maybe we could see some of them in like the letters page once the issues start rolling in. They could be like little characters in the letters page, maybe.
I'd love to see that. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give a small spoiler then. You're gonna see a lot more of the chibis, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
We've been getting a lot of comments about it, a lot of great comments. So.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of people love them, and I know so. Great to hear that you're going to see more of them. All right, let's see. Kat, while I read over some of these comments and stuff, why don't you tell everyone a little bit of, what they can expect with issue 1 in particular? Now that it's fully funded, you gotta give us something.
Okay.
So I want to know something about issue number 1 that you have not said yet.
Okay, let's see. Well, you guys know that Casey goes to a private school. We get to see a little bit of Invulnerable. You saw in those preview pages. We get to see Invulnerable being smiling, and I love in my screenplay. I always say that Invulnerable gets his classic smile, so that'll be his classic smile from now on. That literally he always gives it to the camera. He loves giving his classic smile. What can I say? There's, an unexpected event that happens that propels the story, and it happens pretty early. It happens in the first couple of pages of the book. And we see the first issue explore that a lot. And I've said Spider-Man's referenced a lot, and I will mention that the Tobey Maguire movie, there's a big scene in this issue that is very based on the Tobey Maguire movie, Spider-Man 1. So we'll look forward to that. And that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, there's something that propels the story in the beginning issues, and you can expect a Tobey Maguire type scene. There you go. And it's funny. It's very funny Casey Stephanie moment. It's like, you'll love Stephanie after this scene. And Casey. But Stephanie, you'll love her quirky humor. And I mean, I hope you guys do. But it was a lot of fun to write.
Okay, Kat, actually I had two really good answers for your Kickstarter. So can we maybe get another digital code so we can give out two?
Let's get out. I want to give a good one. You know what I'm going to give out? I'm going to give out Hulk issue 8. Digital code.
That is a really good book.
Yeah, it is. And it's user-friendly if you haven't read it. So.
Yeah, so let's see. Scotty Showman responded with the said, I'm a legitimate fan of Comic Uno and her channel. She covers so many avenues of entertainment with her own female flair and perspective on it. I was intrigued with everything that she knows, that she loves, how she would fit in all these inspirations into a comic book, and it seems like she pulled it off. Okay, so Scotty Showman would get one, and Kat can decide, you know, which one goes to where. She can maybe pull them out of a hat or something like that. But and the next one I want to point out was Jade. And the reason why I'm pulling him out is because not everyone could afford to support the Kickstarter, but there's multiple ways that you could support this this project, which is like getting the word out, like Rashawn said, retweeting, posting things online on your Facebook, coming to these Q&As and, you know, interacting with everyone. So I want to give a shout out to people who maybe couldn't afford it, but they still supported you in spirit and in positivity and production, promotional wise. So Jide says, I didn't have the money to contribute, but I did give my support. I felt that it was because Kat had a great love for comics and a dedication for her project. You can see her hard work through her videos. Also the fact that she's my age. I couldn't even do that with school and work, so she got my support. So, you know, not everyone could have supported it financially, but there's multiple ways that everyone supported it with the, like I said, the Q&A, the tweets, the Facebook posts, the retweeting, everything coming to her videos, supporting them, liking them, spreading it around to people. So word of mouth is just as good as the money, because you could have told someone and that person could have donated the money. So those two people get free codes.
Yeah. And I picked who gets what, but I'll inbox you which got what. But it was very random the way I picked it. But
okay. All right. Let's see. We have some more questions also. I just wanted to get those two out there because there was two different ways that you could support the project. And I want to give each of them a shot.
Very cool. Thank you guys. Even if you didn't back up the project, just like Jay said, just supporting it and spreading the word was good enough, and just coming to the Q&As, that's awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Charlie Molina asked, from all the characters in Like Father, Like Daughter, what is your favorite to write, and what is the hardest one to write?
Yeah.
So who is your favorite? Not the easiest one to write, but your favorite. The one that makes you smile. Like that little smile you have just now when I said it. Which one makes you smile like that when you write them? The most joy.
I mean, I would say everybody. I mean, I'm going to go through each character and why I like writing them, and then I'll say my favorite and my hardest.
All right, but you know I'm not going to let you go with the, oh, I can't choose.
I will
give us an answer to that.
I'm going to explain all of them in the end because they're all different, and then I'll say favorite and hardest. I will choose.
Okay.
Casey, of course, is just awesome to write because she just has so much going on in her brain. She's a very complex character because of her father, really. She's a regular teenage girl, but she's got a lot going on there. So she's very complex, and how she sees her father. So I really like writing that dynamic. Invulnerable, he's charming, but he's not the greatest guy. So I like writing the charm for him. Wes just being a geek. You know, I love writing those comic book references, but he has a really good heart. So I'll give him that to Wes. Stephanie's awesome to write because she's that supportive, loyal character no matter what. And I think those are so rare. You know, honestly, it's like a female Styles. I would say that. I'm gonna go with that. And she says these like crazy stuff, but she's just so supportive, and I love that. Who else? Jessica, she's cool to write because she's very complex, because she's a single mom who doesn't have a close relationship with her daughter, and that's really fun to write. And then there's other characters there that I can't talk about, but they're fun to write too. So what's my favorite? Honestly, Stephanie. I don't know why. I love all these characters. They're my babies, but still, Stephanie is so fun to write. The quirky things she says is awesome, and like I said, the loyalty she has to Casey is really cool. And I think the way she warms up to Wes is really interesting too. Hardest character to write, Jessica. Honestly, she was the hardest character to write because how do you fit her in there? Single mom, not great relationship with her daughter. She was definitely the hardest to write.
Okay, I have a question for the viewers, and this is going to be another digital code. Kat can pick out one.
You're getting Spider-Verse. This is a big one, so.
Okay, Spider-Verse. I mean, come on, this is a huge one. So, I want to pick up on that question and ask about you reviewing your own comic book. Because, you can't do that. It's hard for you to do it. But she does have friends who review comic books. And we all are going to be reading this book. All of us at Frontline, we are going to be reading it, and we're going to review it in our own ways. But we have a main channel, Comic Frontline. So which one of the Comic Frontline crew would you want to review this issue for Kat on the channel? Now,
good.
This person's going to be selected for that week to review the comic book. The week it comes out, whichever week it is. You have myself, Mike Spider-Slayer, Brant Fowler, Chris Ventura, and Michael Ventura. Okay? So in the comments, let us know which one of us that you want to see review it, and you can say why or why not. And, we are all going to take a shot at this in different ways. So you might see someone a countdown type show, some might do it on their own channel. The website is going to have something. So we are going to fully cover this, but for our main channel, I want to know who do you want to review it. And as a little side note, Kat would tell us after the questions asked who she originally thought should review it on this site, because we all have different styles. We all have different styles, different techniques of tackling a review. So I want to find out what the audience thinks, and I want to find out what you think, Kat.
All right, I have a good answer for this. So.
All right. And while we're waiting for those responses to come in, let's see. All right, SMDOWNH9 says, just an idea, but if her villain had a father who was a villain but was really good father, I didn't abandon his kid, just as an idea. You don't have to see it.
Okay.
So I think was like, will there be a villain who also has a child, but the villain, instead of leaving the child, actually is a good father? We have seen that sometimes in comic books where a villain is a good father.
Mm-hmm. Or Arrow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, well, I wouldn't say good. Kind of burning someone's hand with it's not really good.
He cares for Thea, even though he's just using her as a pawn. He cares.
And while Kat reads that, I'm gonna be right back. Okay, while Kat answers that.
Okay, that's a good question. I think in an alternate reality, it'd be really cool to see like the reverse of like father like daughter, where he's like a supervillain and didn't abandon his daughter and how that all came out. I think that'd be a really cool type story, maybe a father-son story. That'd be pretty cool. So if I have a one-shot what-if story, that might happen. So that'd be very cool. All right, so I'm going to look to see if there's any more questions as we wait for Jay. Let's see. Thank you guys for, asking all these questions. Very cool and very unique questions, so that's awesome. And yeah, if you guys still answer that those other questions, that question we asked for you to get Spider-Verse, so that will be very cool. And I'm going to copy and paste all those things right now as Jay comes back. Hold on. So Rashawn, who would you like to see review this comic on Comic Frontline?
My initial reaction to that question was I wanted to throw my name in a hat. To be the reviewer.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I like to see that. That'd be awesome.
I was fortunate enough to finally get to read the entire screenplay, and we had some good dialogue back and forth about that.
We did. Good.
So
yeah.
I thought it'd be nice, but
no. Actually, Rashawn, since you just said that, I'm the editor of ComicFrontline.com. And I would like to offer you a chance to write a written review of Like Father, Like Daughter on the site.
Would you do that, Rashawn?
Yes, I would do that.
Awesome.
Cool.
I would be really excited to hear this. I think when this comes out, we just gotta hear everyone's opinion. So this is gonna be very cool.
Yeah.
So I want to clarify the reason that I would do it. Just so it's clear to the fans. The question came up a couple times on a couple of these Q&As, whereas if Comic Uno had to deal with editors and things of that nature, and essentially, if there was an editor on the project, it would be us, because we're the only ones that's working with her on it. And we pretty much let her write, and we take the story that she gives us. We don't do any editorial things, but of course we may have ideas or thoughts or a viewpoint that we wanted to look at it from. So I think it's essential to understand that we're not a company that's sitting here and taking over her project and saying, hey, do it like this and do it like that. She has things that even we might necessarily agree with, but as a conversation took place between me and Kat, all opinions are subjective, and just the way that I look at something, the way that members of my team might look at something, and I'll give an example. My son loves the story. My son loves it. On the last Q&A, or the Q&A before the last one, he begged me to jump on the microphone and say hello to Kat before we actually went live. So he loves the story. I think it resonates home with him, for the simple fact that for a while he was in a single-parent household as well, and just without him knowing every single detail about the screenplay, because I hadn't had it then, he read the actual script for the first book, and he was all in. He was all in from that point on. So just even the premise alone has a lot of meaning with a lot of different people, so that's what made us jump onto the story. But I still think that it's a lot of opportunities to talk about different aspects and things that haven't been brought up. I just got notification, Kat. I tried to copy you on a Twitter note that one of the guests that we had potentially coming on, Kelly, she's not going to make it onto the Q&A. But one of the things that she was supposed to bring to the table was just to ask some questions more so on the women's point of view, because we haven't had a lot of questions about that. So I'm going to make a special announcement on the show right here. If anyone can come with a question for Kat right now, based off of the strong sense of the place and the perspective of a woman's point of view, for what they see in this comic, what we're going to do is we will send them an exclusive pinup of one of the Like Father, Like Daughter characters, and they can pick which character, and we'll do that on us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great. This gotta be a really good question, guys, and I'm very excited to see it. That is awesome. I didn't know about any of this, so
That's really cool. That's a really cool thing to offer. And especially for people who love the artwork, that's something you might want to start writing down your question for Kat about that, because your comment, because if you like the art, there's a chance to own a piece of it.
Well, it's gonna be a digital one.
Yes.
It won't be something that we send, but it'll be digital. But it will be exclusive. You will be the only one that we'll send it to.
And you can print it out, and
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's totally printable. So you can print it out. You can hang it. You can frame it. I've got digital artwork like that.
Good copy of that. You can probably go to Staples. Yeah. I mean, I'm promoting Staples right now, but
there's so many different companies that do it. Or even if you have a really high quality printer, like I printed out a couple of things, to hang up, because you can really get some nice work out of it.
Yeah, so that's come up with a good question for that, and for the woman's side, and definitely we'll send you that. Cool. So what's the next question? I think it was after the. Hold on. After the villain one, so Scotty Showman's.
Okay. For Short Fuse and for Comic Uno, how has this experience of Father Like Daughter strengthened you professionally, and what future of this venture are you looking forward to? So first, I'm going to start with I'm going to start with Rashawn on this, because this is, like you said, your first project that you're launching in this venue, in this way. So how does that pertain to you? How does it strengthen you professionally, and what future part of this venture are you most looking forward to now that you've finished funding the actual first issue?
Well, the biggest part of the venture that I'm looking forward to the most is continuing working with Kat. It's been a pleasure working with Kat. Her writing style has been phenomenal. Again, we actually hired her to work on one of our projects, and I'm interested to know what her personal project is that she's been working on, to see if we can get our grubby little.
Good, that's not just me. Yeah. Good, that's not just me that's been thinking about that in the back of my head.
Yeah, we might want to get our grubby little hands on every piece of Comic Uno, writing that we can get. So beyond that though, it's been a real eye opener as far as the even the Kickstarter campaign, the whole process. This was our first time doing it. I pride myself on being a strategic individual. I come from a business world with a love for comics though, and that's what I kind of brought all to the table. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah,
okay, while Rashawn's stepped away, Kat, how about you tackling your end of it?
Yeah, I mean, just interacting with writers and artists that like my work, which I love their work, and to see that's awesome. To work on a Kickstarter that was fully funded is great, and it's cool to kind of put on, not your resume, but just put on the list of stuff you've done. Yeah, so that's kind of I would say promoting. Obviously, as a comic book channel, a YouTube channel, I kind of already promote myself, but to promote your own work, your book, like you've been saying, Jay, your baby, it's interesting. It's something I've never done. I mean, obviously, Comic Uno is my baby too, but to promote
this is a different level.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I just feel like it's a different type of promoting. This is different type of promoting. It was hard, definitely, because you have to get your footing and you gotta know what you're doing, but you learn throughout the days that the Kickstarter is being launched. I've had so many experiences just working with Short Fuse Media. Also, has just been an experience working with a company like Short Fuse Media is awesome, and it's just all these ventures that were going on, and then once the comic book is being sold in stores, it's gonna be just another professional experience also.
All right. While we're waiting for Rashawn, Rashawn, you're back?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. You want to finish what you were saying?
Well, yeah, I pretty much wrapped up, and then I heard Kat's her synopsis on it, which was pretty much the same sentiment. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay. The next question is also from Scotty Showman, who let me see, go up and next. They say for Comic Uno, they say everything has been done before. How does one overcome this challenge when coming up with a concept for a superhero book? Actually, I want to take that. I want to expand upon it because right now in comic books, a lot of people, a lot of companies, especially independents, are saying, "Oh, this is a revolutionary comic book. It's the comic book that flips the industry on their heads and all that." And you kind of worded it like father, like daughter, the same way. What separates you? So you can answer his question, but also answer this. What separates you from other books that are saying like that? So, like, why? What? So the original question was, how does one overcome that challenge? And then as a backup question, what separates you from the other people who have tried to take the same challenge?
You know, I think everyone feels they have a revolutionary idea, obviously, but I obviously read a lot of comics, so I kind of know what's been done, what hasn't been done, and I know this hasn't been done. This, there should be more teenage books out there. I mean, obviously there is, but not at this moment. You know, Young Avengers not being around, Teen Titans really not being around. We won't talk about that, but there's not a lot of teenage books out right now, even though there's been a lot of teenage books out there, and no one's ever really tackled family in this way. In answering question, the Sky Showman, everything's been done before. You gotta take that with stride. You gotta know that everything's been done before, but yours is a bit different because you did this or you did that, or you take something from that but you twist it, or you're inspired by something and then you make it your own. So just accept that there's only a couple stories to be told, and make it your own. That's you just can't be stuck on it as a writer. You can't. You just gotta do it.
Okay, the next question is, Tevya asks, question Cat. I'm sorry, my brain just went totally schizo on that. Question Cat. I can speak English. I am just wondering, when does Like Father, Like Daughter come out? Which is a really good question because we were discussing this before the live show. So, who wants to feel this, Cat or Short Fuse?
I'm just going to add, and Rashawn can answer this, but I'm just going to add, like Jay said, I literally asked this question because I know people are going to ask this because it's our last Q&A. I had to ask Rashawn and say, when should we say the book's coming out? So I will give it to Rashawn to answer this, but it was a question that we've discussed even before this.
Yeah, like literally 2 minutes before we went live, we discussed this part.
Yeah, well, again, the book will be released in the first quarter of next year, is how I was strategically told to answer that question. But the reality of it is the first previews of the book, the first books that actually go out will be the rewards that are given during the campaign, which is in February.
Cool. So there you go. You backed it. Not only you're going to get a physical copy of this book, you're going to get it before everyone else does. So that's a reason you can go and still donate. Go on, go to the Kickstarter. Just get that book a little bit earlier so you can get the jump start on everyone else that's going to be reading this book.
Read the legendary book before it comes out.
Ooh, it could be like Ultra Comics. And Cat's favorite book, Multiversity.
Multiversity.
All right. Let me see the next question.
I'm just gonna.
All right, Tevya asks, Tevya suggests that Comic Book Corner 2.0, aka Mike's Fire Study, should review the book, which is great because I love Mike's enthusiasm about books. I would love to see his review. He's one of the people I'm looking forward to everyone's, because each of us, like I said, brings a different aspect of reviewing to it. So we all have our own individual channel. So whoever does it will do it on whoever you pick will be given the book on Comic Frontline, and the rest of us would do it in our own way. So let's see. GD says, sorry I don't know everyone's name on the project, but my question is for you guys. What made you decide to work on this comic book, and what do you love about it so far? So for let's start with Rashawn. What made you decide to work on this project with Kat? and what do you love about it so far?
It started off with the actual process of her looking for an artist and an art team. I thought that was interesting. The fact that it was a reviewer who had somewhat of a set fan base. I thought that was actually something I could identify with, in the fact that, hey, it was somebody stepping outside of the box. We pride ourselves on being out of the box thinkers at Short Views, and we thought that was something different that hadn't been done yet. Because there's a lot of reviewers that could potentially take their fan base and try and present their fan base with product or merchandise that, is not really worth its weight. But the actual story that Cat had was a phenomenal story. We thought it had an excellent premise, and it came from an extreme perspective that we had never even considered. One of the questions that was asked earlier in this conversation or during this Q&A made reference to the fact that everything's been done, and I have to disagree because I haven't seen this, and I've been a comic fan for a long time. I haven't seen a story with this kind of weight to it. So I definitely think that her passion with the project and the fact that it was a different premise that I had not seen before, and that even if it has been done, it hasn't been done to the point where it's universally known. So I thought it was a good project to jump on. Everything was laid out, especially after reading the script. It was extremely detailed. Was fairly simple for us to get the visuals together and make an awesome project. So that's what made us really want to jump into the project.
Cool. Now, Kat, same question. What made you decide that this was the project to do? Because like I said, I've seen some of your writing. You have multiple ideas, multiple stories, even the one that we don't know yet, and me or Sean are going to try to get it out of you after the show. So, what made this the one that you decided I had to start right here?
You know what? Also, I will say the story I'm thinking about. Again, it's not totally fleshed out, but maybe, just maybe, if you guys stick around, I'll talk about it a little bit towards the end of the show. A little bit. No, it's very, very in the first phase. So I'll tell you maybe a tad bit about it. But yeah, talking about why this story was made in their comic book, because it has all the elements that I love. Family. I'm a sucker for teenage stories. A good female protagonist. A good Scooby Gang in a way. Yeah, so it just had everything I love, and I was like, why not make this a comic? This has to be my first story I tell. So yeah, and what I love about it, like I said, it's just all these things I love about comics I just put into one, and hopefully you guys like it too.
All right, we're going to take a moment to ask another question, because I'm going to read it. You know what? Let me finish reading these answers to the question that I asked. SMDOWNH9 says they want Mike Spiderslayer to review the comic. They like hearing his reviews. He's engaging and just fun to listen to. So that's 2 for Mike. Tevye wrote Mick. I'm not sure who.
I'm guessing that's
a response. Mike. Okay. Yeah. Typos. They stink. So that's 3 for Mike. Cool. I would like you to review it. Charlie Molina says. I think this is aimed at me, because you seem to know and appreciate best what fans want, because you're the one who's reading the questions. Okay, so that's 1 for me, 3 for Mike.
I think that's it for that one.
Yeah. So all right. So Mike Spiderslayer is going to he's going to be assigned this to review, which I think he's looking forward to too, because he has been talking about this. He has even asked some questions in the previous Q&As. So Mike Spiderslayer is going to be the one to review it, and let's see.
You get Spider-Man issue 9 for this.
Yes. Let's see. How about we give it to the biggest Spider-Man fan in the audience that we know of, who's always talks about Spider-Man, who loves Spider-Man, and wants to have Spider-Man at his top peak. I'm talking about Tevye. So
you're written
that's
down.
what I'm going to select, just because Tevye is always asking Spider-Man questions and Spider-Verse questions, so I had to give it to Tevye.
Yes, and sorry these are all Marvel. They're the only ones that give out digital codes, so you're only getting Marvel.
Yeah. Which is not that bad because Marvel had a good week this week.
They did a good week, so.
So this next question is, they're going, Short Fuse and Cat are going to be moving into the next phase of this project, which is producing the actual comic book, and then they're going to also be thinking about the future of it beyond the first issue, try to do number 2. So what would you like to see them do for number 2 as far as Kickstarter, maybe promote, what would you like to see as rewards for the Kickstarters in the future? Let us know what you want that way, and we'll pick out a name, and whoever wins that will, they'll get what's book at this time?
I'm looking, because the other one for the female question was the Weapon X program, and this one that you're asking will be Spider-Verse Team Up.
Alright, Spider-Verse Team Up. And I did a review on that, so that's a good issue too. I didn't read the Weapon X one yet, so I can't really comment on how great that is, but it's Death of Wolverine. I mean, come on. It happens once every... Well, this is comic book, so I won't mention that. But, it's a big event. So it's a big event right now in Marvel, so, great books. Remember, answer the female question for Cat, X that question, and then also answer about what you want to see from the future Kickstarters, like, what should they offer as rewards? What do you want to see? Anything that you have idea for beyond issue number 1 to promote and to get it out there. Anything you want to add to that criteria, Rashawn, for that one?
Nope, it sounds good to me.
Okay. Let's see. We got some more questions.
And there's more over here too.
Oh yeah, Tevye did say his vote was for Mike. Okay, so yeah, we did read that correctly.
Alright, it's gonna move up for a second, so hold on.
Okay.
Alright. Alright, I don't know. I would ask the next question. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Alright.
There we go.
I'm just trying to find another question.
Let me see. I'll look too.
Scotty Showman. Okay, here it goes. Scotty Showman. Is there a special moment between characters that you can touch on or hint at? Maybe something you are looking forward to your audience seeing?
There's a lot that I can't talk about. There's some great moments. Some are twists, some are not. Some I just can't talk about because you have to read the first issue first. But yeah, there's a lot of great interactions here. I'll even say, you know what? I guess I can say this. I will say that Wes is the biggest fan of Invulnerable, and he will meet Invulnerable. So that's pretty cool. So if you like fanning out for something, geeking out, he geeks out when he meets Invulnerable. So I'll say that.
That's pretty cool. See, now you make me want to answer the question because I got to ask this now, Kat.
Okay, let's hear it.
Will Wes know that Invulnerable is Casey's father?
You're going to have to find out. I can't answer that. I can't answer that. But I will say what issue you will find out will be issue 2. Issue 2, you will find out more about Wes. He's not really in the first issue as much. Like, you get to see, like, who his character is. Like, you'll see, like, a scene, a couple of panels of him. But issue 2, you'll see more Wes and really flesh out how Wes is. So.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to get something out of you.
I'm gonna do a spoiler. Wes is actually Superman. He's
Yes,
he's Clark Kent in disguise.
So Wes is me?
Wait for the shocker. Wait for the shocker.
Wes is me?
Cat just signed with DC.
I'm Wes?
Yes, Wes is Jay. Jay is Wes.
And Superman is all in one. That's why you never see us all together in the same exact place.
Exactly. But you'll have to find out in issue 2 of like Papa Like Daughter how that all works out.
So that's the reason to support the Kickstarter. Go over to the Kickstarter, donate a little bit, You can minimum pledge is $1, and you can sky's the limit on how much you can give. So, we still got about 30 hours left to go on the Kickstarter.
So, yeah, please support, definitely. All right, I got a couple more answers, which is cool too.
Okay, I want to ask a question real fast, because Kat did mention about parallel universes and stuff like that. Tevye asks, will we see any of that in your comic book? Maybe not in this first arc, because I think the first arc you really got to establish the characters. Would you be adverse to them traveling into parallel worlds, or maybe going over to one of the other short fuse United Universe world, like go over to one of their other books, maybe the project that you worked on?
Hey, maybe if Rashawn wants like a one-shot issue, I'd be open to write a one-shot issue of them going to another universe. But at this moment, probably not, because the book is really grounded. So it would not be attached to the book, I would say. I don't know if it would really be canon if we did a one-shot. I mean, obviously it'd be canon, but it wouldn't really be connected to the actual series.
There won't be a story. There'll be a side story.
Yeah, it'd be like a side story. I don't think you would see it in the book, at least at this point. It's very grounded. But as series goes on, sometimes groundedness becomes spectacularness, so you never know.
Okay, let's see.
I'm looking too. Alright, I think the next one's Charlie Molina. Oh, yeah, Charlie. You see that one?
All right, Charlie Molina says, since you are a woman, Kat, you analyze the female comic book characters better. So, what have you noticed about women in recent comics that you would change? That's a really good question, because women in comic books have actually been a really big subject to talk about right now. So, what would you change about women in comic books? And I'm going to add a little bit to this. How are you changing that within your own comic book?
Yeah, that's a really good question that, I've answered kind of in different ways. I've never gotten this, this type of question, but this is a great one. I would say media and comics. I think strong women are people that can fight and could be, sarcastic. And I don't think that's what, Black Widow, honestly, I don't think she's that fleshed out of a character in the movies, but everyone loves her because she could kick butt. I don't think that's a strong female character. I mean, this is just my opinion on that, because I know a lot of people are Black Widow fans in the movies, but I just don't think she's been fleshed out enough to say that. My characters, some of them can kick butt, some can't. As much as I love seeing women kick butt, it's awesome. It's cool to see that on Arrow now. I just think you need to develop that. You just can't be like, oh, that person could do that. That's a strong female character. A strong female character is someone that's very fleshed out, someone that has experiences, and that's who Casey is. Someone who's going through this experience, this emotional experience. That's a fleshed out character. That's a strong character, not a two-dimensional character. So that goes to any character, not just female, to male characters too. So that's what I would change, honestly. The definition of what a strong female character is.
I would agree with you. As a comic book reader, you see so many times that comic book writers think a strong female character has to be physically strong. Oh, she could kick any guy's, rear all over the universe. That makes her a strong character. I don't think so. I think it's how you deal with life that makes you strong. You could be man, woman, any age, any race. It's what you go through and how you come out of that makes you a strong character. And I think that's something that Kat knows, and I think that's something that Kat is, from what I know of the story, because I don't know everything. I'm telling everyone that now. I don't know that she has me hanging on by threads on things. I've been throwing out theories to her that I got. She's like, well, you have to see. So basically what she does here, she does to me, and it tortures me. But I kind of know how Kat's mind works a little bit, and I think she, it's that way too. She thinks that a character is stronger by how they handle life's situations, how they come out of that. And that's why I think Kat is a right person to write a story. where a female is such a strong lead.
Yeah. And hopefully you guys see that. You know, good example is Stephanie. You're not going to see her kick butt here. She's not that, like, she's not physically strong, but she's a great loyal character. Like I've been saying, I don't want to spoil a lot, but she's very loyal, and that's a detail of a character and a depth of a character that makes her different from a stereotypical popular girl that's her best friend. You know, she's not a stereotype. And even though Casey, Stephanie, Wes, all these characters could be so much a stereotype, I don't make them that, and they're real people. So that's something I definitely want to tell you guys.
Okay. The next question about the female related question is Sky Showman says, "Let me give this female related question a shot. Comic Uno, you're a young lady in a male-dominated industry. Casey is also a young lady dealing with challenges brought on by a dominant male. Where do you draw your inspiration and strengths when writing comics, and where do you think Casey draws her inspiration and strength?"
It's a really good question. I see how I could break this down. So you're with Casey.
So let's start. Okay, go ahead.
I think you got your winner right there. I think you got your winner right there.
Yeah, that's a really good question, honestly. So Sky Showman, I mean, definitely asks more of the female-driven questions, but I think Sky Showman got this one. Like you actually stumped me a little, so we'll get you the. Oh yeah, it was the poster, so it wasn't the comic. You're getting the poster.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the original art.
Poster.
But you know what? Let's also give. Wasn't there also the comic book you were also going to do the Logan? So we're going to give Sky Showman the he's going to get the artwork from Short Fuse Media, and Charlie Molina is going to get the Weapon X comic, the digital download. Okay, so because I like Charlie Molina's question too.
Awesome. It seems like we have another guest on here too.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. Welcome to the show, Kelly Guillory.
Yes.
Ah, yes, I got it right. All right. Kelly Guillory, would you like to tell the viewers who you are and what you do?
My name is Kelly. I am a comic artist and a writer from Detroit. I'm with the comic publishing company Asher Collective, and we make indie, of course.
Okay. Now we just got some two really good female-centric questions. The one Kat didn't get to answer yet, but I want to ask you the previous one just so we can get your perspective on this also.
Okay.
The question was, since you're a woman, Kat, but you're going to answer this. Wait, let me see. Sorry, the questions are scrolled. Sorry, it's scrolled up. You analyze the female comic book characters better. So, what have you noticed about women in recent comics that you would like to change? So, as a female reader, Kelly, what would you like to change about women in comic books right now? What would you like to see changed?
I'd like to see more dynamic content creation. I'm one of those people that I got part of my start in the lowbrow art in Detroit Dirty Show. I'm not shy to doing pinups. I'm not shy to doing adult material. I just think that I'm one of those that I'm a proponent for comics that are age appropriate. If you're pretending you're going to sell it to kids, then really sell it to kids, and don't stick a woman with her butt in the air on the cover, because you need to think about the kids. A lot of people are approaching this from the perspective of, oh, this is offensive to women, offensive to women. I'm like, you are handing a comic to a child. Do you really think you want Spider-Woman with her butt in the air on that cover? Is that okay to give to a 5-year-old? No, it's not. Think about it.
Or the other aspect where a lot of females are breast first. they're coming at you from the perspective where it zooms in, and their breasts are the biggest thing in the picture because of the angle of the art's coming at you. So it's true for both sides.
If it's a book like Vampirella, if it's a book like, if it's heavy metal, then I don't have a problem with boobs, because that's what it's adults by adults for adults, and it's a different book. It's a different character.
Oh no, I was just talking about like other characters, like Power Girl for instance. A lot of her art seems to be centered on her her breasts, and it's always shown there. And she's a general character for a general audience, so that's what I was mainly thinking of. Her and like Wonder Woman and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not really I think if I were in control of Power Girl, then I would take that a lot further. The boob window is supposed to be about like her self-esteem part of it. I would be exploring that like very deeply and really just going there with the storyline. But then again, that book is not going to be for kids anymore once it gets in my hands. You can't play around with that.
True.
A lot out there do. They try to, and I think that's lazy.
Very true.
All right. The next, Kelly, as a female creator, do you have a question for Kat?
What's the worst storyline you've read?
What is the worst storyline I've read? That's a good one. There's been a lot out there. I honestly have to go with that Spider-Man, Marvel Knights Spider-Man, where he's like on drugs, and like, what the hell was that? I don't know. Also, Fear itself is not great, but I gotta go with that Marvel Knights Spider-Man where he's like on drugs.
The most recent Marvel Knights Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because there was one that was out before that that was a good. She's talking about the recent one that came out last year or earlier this year, and was Marvel Knights Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, I think it was last year.
All right. Let's see. What was the we also had a question for you, Kat, about
Right, the Sky Showman one.
Yeah, the Sky Showman one. Let me just find that because the question scrolled up. Yeah,
it's under point of view. What was it being like a part of? Oh no, actually, yeah, you're gonna have to look for it because I can't even find it.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Oh yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay.
All right. The question was, Casey is also a young lady dealing with challenges brought on by a dominant male. Where do you draw your inspiration and strength when writing comics, and where do you think Casey draws her inspiration and strength from?
My inspiration, I don't really think about myself being, a female in a male-dominated world, just because, the people around me, everyone on Comic Frontline, my fans really have been supportive and never, like, poking in the face, oh, you're a female reading a comic, unless it's positive. I've never gotten negatives about it, so that's always a great thing in the YouTube community. So that's always great. But going back to the strength of where I get my strength from writing comics is just my love for comics and my love to really show a good story. So that's my strength. Casey draws her inspiration and strength. I think she just has willpower, definitely, because of the situations she's in. She doesn't want to be defined by them. And, yeah, so I think it's definitely willpower for Casey.
I actually want to see what Kelly's point of view on that is. Because the whole question is, that Kat's a young lady in a male-dominated industry, which is, comic book industry, which I think is honestly changing a lot. Because even when I look at Comic Frontline demographics, we have a lot more female viewers now than I think was there about 20 years ago. I think a lot of female viewers and a lot of female readers are more vocal now. Maybe they were always reading it, but I think now they're more vocal about reading comic books and wanting, their voice heard also in the industry, which I think is great. But what do you think about what's your inspiration for being in the industry also, Kelly? And, which is, as Guy Showman said, male dominated. And what's your inspiration for it, and what do you think about it?
My first inspiration was when some guy handed me a Wizard magazine. I was trying to impress him, and then I opened the Wizard magazine and saw Michael Turner sitting with like a pool with palm trees behind him in this gorgeous house, and I was like, "Well, screw you! I want this pool. This is awesome. This is for me. I want this." And then the second reason I came back into comics, and I was like, yeah, let's just turn this book into a graphic novel. Let's do it. Um, Listening to a lot of decks, and anybody that's familiar with the band knows that they kind of do their own thing. They did music, and they were just always on the fringe. And I took inspiration from that. And when we launched our first book, I got like a business grant in order to publish it. Well, the guy who gave us the grant was trying to censor the book. Didn't want any cursing. Not to down DC readers, but he was a hardcore DC reader and didn't really like cursing in books. Felt that he wanted to switch up the characters, make one of them black, and cast the Fall Guy as a black dude. And I was like, nope, not happening. Sorry, this is mine, and you can't do it. And always just keeping that attitude in mind that this is ours, and we don't really care about the rules that we've got set about how you think comics should go. I will do what I want because it's mine. He can't stop me.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah, especially
you can't ever let anyone stop you from, when you're a creator, from getting your creative license out there. Like your creative property out there, and which I think is actually something that Rashawn was talking about earlier with how they deal with Kat's book. They let her put herself out there, and they don't really they're not editorial heavy where they're saying, oh, you can't do this, you have to make this happen. Short Fuse is really great with that. Would you like to add to that also, Rashawn?
Just not pretty much like we said. We jumped on a bandwagon with Kat. We filled out our bandwagon application and jumped on the like father like daughter train. Because like I said, the story, it was a phenomenal story, and as a first time publisher for something that we wanted to push, we felt it was something that could fit in with what we wanted to do. And it was also really engaging to see what a true fan perspective would be from bringing their own project to life. So we thought it was a good opportunity overall for not only for Kat but for us as well. So we didn't go into it looking at any of it as a female's perspective either. And that came about after we started the project. So once we got into the project, the premise alone was one thing that we was really in tune with, but beyond just the premise, it really dug down into the fact that we looked at a lot of different angles. One of our founders, one of the publishers is that's couldn't be here today. Madi, she's a female and she's in the comic book medium. The first artist that we hired, the first one that we hired was actually Chester, which was a female, and then Kat, of course, is a female, and then the star Casey is a female, and it's kind of like the everything was just falling into place from that aspect. So for me, it was a big deal at that point to say, hey, well, we need to focus on this a little bit because this is phenomenal. Kat mentioned in some conversations about a rapport that she wanted to build with Gail Simone, and I knew who Gail Simone was, and I was like, well, that's real cool. And when Gail Simone went as far as to retweet the project and show her support for it, it was just like, oh yeah, this was a good idea. So we didn't go into it looking at anything from a female perspective, but it did fall in a 100% total place where we can say, okay, well, this was good, and we think it's something that needs to be at least discussed at some point.
Yeah.
It is a
Okay.
male dominated thing, and like Kat said, it shouldn't be. Luckily, she deals with you guys at Comic Frontline, and it's
Hmm.
never brought to the forefront. But for a lot of people, it is brought to the forefront.
Oh yeah.
And I think that she's to me, I look at Kat like she could potentially be the Nicki Minaj of the comic industry, where she's just leading the charge and making it to where people are saying, hey, don't pay attention to the fact that I am a female. I'm making good material, and that should be that.
Rashawn, I think you just put some images in a lot of people's heads with that statement right there.
I get
Because,
blonde hair.
yeah,
Summer
like
wrap.
I'm hearing music in the background now, but what I would like to add to that is that while there is a female writer, a female artist that has done some work on it, there's not one, not two, but three strong female characters on this cast in this book. The overall story element is very universal. It can fit for male, female, white, black, Asian, Latino. It can fit anything, no matter where you are in the world. I think the universal is kind of a universal statement about a father leaving a child. I think that fits anywhere. All different income brackets. It's something that's very real in today's world. So I think that's a universal type element to the story. It's brought from a female perspective in this, but you can relate. Rashawn's even said that his son loved the premise of the story because it resonates with everyone on all different levels.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
If let's just that let's smush all the. I know this sounds disastrous. Let's smush all of the heroes together from Like Father, Like Daughter into other heroes from other comic books. Who would the heroine look up to as an influence?
I gotta go. Yeah, I think Jay knows this. I gotta go with my favorite character of all time, Spider-Girl. She's so look up to her. Jay, were you thinking the same thing?
I was actually thinking a combination of either her or Kitty Pryde, because I can see both of them in Casey.
Who would the father be hanging out with? Like, who would he like? Who these people like? Who they hate? Because you always think about that. Like, who's this person gonna get along with?
That's a good idea. Like, he's very charming, so I don't think it would be Superman, even though I kind of model him off of, like, the fame of Superman, but maybe, like, Booster Gold. Like, someone that's, like, I think Booster Gold. I'm going to go with that.
I was thinking, actually, that cat because of one of the promo images, and I'll explain it later, but which that first promo image, while he does look like Nathan Fillion in the promo image, he also has a very Booster Goldish idea to him, especially with the little emblem, which I said reminds me of like a DC type, not a DC comic book, but a Washington DC like stamp of approval on him, and it kind of reminded me of Booster Gold with that. So
it's
that's
so weird. I'm not even a Booster Gold fan, so just saying that.
Here's something, Kat. Who would Wes like outside of this universe? Like, if all the comic books were real comic books in your universe, who would he be a fan of in the comic books?
Man, that's a good.
Because he's the geek. He's the geek in your story. So who would he be the ultimate fanboy of?
I don't think it would be Batman. I think he's too dark. I don't think it'd be Superman because he's too loyal and patriotic. I gotta go with Spidey. Why not? Let's go with Spider-Man. I think he probably would have a better chance of liking Spider-Man than Invulnerable. Because, Invulnerable could be a little stuck up at times. So I'm going to go with Spidey. I think he's grounded enough. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Do we have any more codes to give out, Kat?
I could get more. I think.
Okay.
What was the
So
other thing that Spider-Verse team-up was for? Oh, that was the Kickstarter one. So let me see. Ooh, someone could get all new X-Men from last week. That was my pick of the week. So.
Okay. This is I want to do another woman-related question, and since we have two women here, I want someone to ask Kat and or Kelly a question that about women in comic books right now. Character-wise, maybe creator-wise, because we all talk about the women in comic books, but we don't talk about the women behind comic books. So maybe we can get one of those questions, because Kelly and Kat are both women behind the comic book. They're the people who are bringing you this, and I think that's a very important thing that you also have to focus on, because while women are being portrayed in comic books, they're being portrayed over years and decades now, where you got different voices talking about them, but Kat's voice is today, right now, and Kelly's voice is today, right now. So ask a question about that, and I'll pick one, and you'll get the what was that? All new X-Men, Kat?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get the all new X-Men digital
nice.
download.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want that.
Kelly's going to make a fake YouTube right now and just ask the question.
I know, right?
Where did that question come from?
Alright, let's see. Alright, YOLO Loyo, nice name.
Tongue twister.
Yes. Well, I think it's supposed to be you only live once. Live once, you only. It's probably a play on that, because YOLO means you only live once. From your point of view, what is it like being a part of this project, Kat?
Awesome. I mean, it's just like a dream come true to work on a comic book and just be an author for a comic, because it's a medium I've loved since I don't even remember. I've been reading comics for a really long time, and my dad got me into comics, which is, a really weird story, because the story's about like a daughter and father who are not connected at all, and my dad got me into comics, and I have a really good relationship with him. So it's cool to see that. But yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, let's put that disclaimer out there right now. This is not a reflection on Kat's relationship with her father. We have to once again put that out there, because a lot of people always confuse your relationship with your father with Casey's relationship with Invulnerable. Yeah. There is a big difference.
Yeah, my dad, me and my dad have a very good relationship with each other, so that's a big difference.
She comes from a two-parent home.
Exactly, I do come from a two-parent home, so I'm not related to this in any way, but I just thought it was a very interesting story to tell.
Let's see. Actually, I want to ask this question for Kelly, because it's a little bit of expanded question, so I'm just going to boil it down to a factor. What do you feel about family stories and in comic books right now, like family aspect? Because you did mention about changing like the sexualization on the cover, but what do you think about the family elements in a comic book?
I'm actually working on, once I'm done with the cyberpunk comic that I'm working on now, plugging, I actually have like a manuscript we've been writing for like years. We have like 8 books worth of manuscripts, and we're rolling them out as comics now. And characters, they have kids, and there's family dynamics in the comic. One of my friends, while I was writing this story, one of my friends started complaining, and he's a real hardcore DC reader, but he's the good kind. He doesn't believe in the code. The other guy believes in the code. Don't stop thing. So he said, I'm really tired of seeing people that are heroes and they're perpetually single. Aren't their families? And there is Flash. There are some families out there, but the ones that are single get put to the forefront. Or Batman's sons keep. That is another thing. I think it's really great when you can have characters that grow up, grow old, and have kids, and you can pass that story on through generational lines. I think that's really powerful, and I think more people need to do it.
You know what? I agree with you, because we mentioned this on our show before, where there aren't any comic book. You always see the single parent, the deceased relative or whatever. You always see someone like from what's considered now a modern family. No relation to the show, but you always see something from that. You never see it a traditional, you know, stereotypical, traditional, whatever you want to call it, family where a mother and a father are still together and they have a kid, you know, and it's like Kat's family, you know, where, you know, there's a functional family unit there. So I think that is something that, you know, like everyone, I think it's, again, it goes back to being so diverse that you're over diversifying it, you know. You're trying to be that diverse group, but I think you're over diversifying it.
Yeah, good point.
I'm gonna
So on
piggyback
this
on that.
topic,
I want to piggyback on that just a smidgen, and I'm kind of going to mix it in a little bit with the question that was asked earlier about that Kelly asked on who would the characters hang out with, and things of that nature in the like father like daughter universe. So with that same family aspect going on, I can see Invulnerable hanging with Omni Man from the Invincible storyline.
Yeah, I think
Ooh,
so too.
that would be interesting.
I mean, it'd be totally different dynamics, but it's just, you know, both being father figures. I think they could have a good conversation that can have a lot of comedic tones to it. And I can see them both piggybacking off of each other. One tried to kill his son, the other one is trying to be a part of his daughter's life. So, you know.
Ah, here you
And
think.
I can also see Invincible flying down next to Casey and saying,
That's what I was just going to ask. He read my mind. I was just going to ask, how would Casey and Invincible sit down and talk about their fathers?
They have a good relationship. I think it'd be interesting to see that. Now we just gotta get Robert Kirkman.
It'd be like trading war stories. You know, like, oh yeah, you think your father's bad? My father left me. Yeah, well, my father tried to kill me.
All right.
You know, he's gonna be playing that trump card all the time. So, oh wow, Rashawn, you just gave me like so many good ideas to see that.
We need to see this now.
Like I said earlier, watch for the promo material.
Yeah, see, Rashawn, don't do this to me. I like to think of theories. I'm a theorist. I love science growing up, so I theorize about everything. You're just making my mind go overboard with this teasing me.
I'm trying to have a little fun with it because Kat, you know, in all of the prior Q&As, she always shoots people down and says, "No, there's not gonna."
I know.
There's not gonna be any.
I
don't know what's cruel though. I don't know what's more cruel.
Yeah, there's not gonna be any.
Nothing. I don't know what's more cruel for me though. What's more cruel for me, because I have that theoretical mind where now you just make me want to know more. So now I just want to pull more out of you, Rashawn. But at the same time, I don't want to.
He knows the whole thing, so.
I know. Maybe one of my questions I want to sneak into Rashawn, and you know, like maybe like I'll send you away somewhere, Kat, and I'll just ask Rashawn something.
I'm gonna say he dropped the hint just now. I will say that with his last question, he did drop a little hint. You guys could, you could theorize about. So, which you get an issue on anyway. So.
All right. Charlie Molina asked. Currently in comics, there are a bit of stereotypes for female characters. How are the female characters in like father like daughter represented in society, and how would you change the stereotypes that currently exist in comics?
Yeah, you know, yeah, go on, Jay.
That's a really good question. I think that deserves the Spider-Verse team-up one.
I think so too. I'll write Charlie Maloney down. As I write that down, I will answer this question. So Charlie does get Spider-Verse and Weapon X, and we still have all new X-Men out there. So anyways, yeah, to answer that question, as I said before, I think Stephanie, Casey, Wes, every character here could stereotypically fall into its cliches, but I really try to give depth to all these characters and really have more than a two-sided character and have a real three-sided character here. And I like playing with stereotypes. You know, Casey is a stereotype of a popular girl. Oh, you know, popular girl with blonde hair. She's very much that stereotype, but she, you know, we play with that. I play with that. Stephanie, same thing. Best friend of the popular girl. We've seen it tons of times. I play with it. Wes, the geek. Oh, we have to deal with the geek. Stereotype that I play with. You could use stereotypes. There's stereotypes out there, but you got to make them different, and that's the biggest point. So there's a lot of stereotypes in comics now, and like I said, you know, what we talked about in writing, what hasn't been done before, what stereotype hasn't been shown before. It's really making this character your own, and maybe it will fall into a stereotype, but you don't want to be reminded to see it as a two-dimensional character in this stereotype. That's when there's a problem. And that's it for that.
I want to thank Scott Showman for nominating me to review your comic book on Comic Frontline. Said that is hosting and doing a great job. So thank you, Scotty, for that.
Agree with that. You're doing a great job, Jay.
Thank you. Okay, a good Kickstarter reward from Charlie Molina. That would also help. A good Kickstarter reward that will also help promote the comic could be giving a thank you to a supporter in his or her Facebook wall or Twitter profile. Oh, that's my suggestion. That's not that bad. You know, social media type of thank you instead of just in the book or something like that. You know, making a comment on their Facebook, which is, you know, very relevant in today's world where social media is everywhere.
Rashawn, what do you think about this one?
Definitely. I think we can definitely do that. It's a fairly simple process, no overhead. So yeah, definitely.
All right, everyone, we're gonna be starting to wrap up soon, so I want everyone to get their last questions in right now, and you know, we'll ask them. We'll do kind of more speed round with this, and then we'll get into some final comments, and we'll, you know, close out this final issue number 1, because it's not the final Q&A, just the final promotional Q&A for Like Father Like Daughter number 1. Let's see. We have some more questions here.
I think G-Man is the next one, because Tevye said the same thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Tevye also had the same idea. G-Day, this question goes to the amazing host. Is that me? I guess. I
guess so.
What is excited about your work on? Oh no, you. Oh.
You.
What is? Oh wait. What is excited about your work on Like Father Like Daughter, and how is your most difficult challenge? No, it would be you.
Oh, okay. So, Jay is I guess I'm the host and Jay's the moderator then.
Yes.
So what am I excited about, Like Father Like Daughter, and how?
What was your most difficult challenge?
A difficult challenge. I would say the Kickstarter was the most difficult challenge. It was really hard. So once we got fully funded, it was awesome. And what am I most excited about? And what do I like about Like Father Like Daughter? What excites me about it? Again, a story that's just never been told before. In my personal opinion, I've personally never seen it, and a lot of people I've talked to that Jay's reading comics forever, has read every comic in the world. He would tell me if this has happened before.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just excited for you guys to read it. Honestly, I'm excited for you guys' feedback. That's what I'm excited about.
I am a rare breed. I've actually been into comic books from I want to say in utero, because my father read comic books to my mother while she was pregnant for me. So while my mother was pregnant with me, I was being read comic books in her womb. So I've been a comic book fan since before I was even born. And instead of having Jack and Jill running up the hill, I had Superman. So that was my bedtime story. I'd be like, those were my bedtime stories. So I've been a big fan of comic books. I go back from DC, Marvel, all the comic book companies, and I have not seen this particular story being told anywhere else. This question goes to Kat, and it's from Tevye, and it says, speaking of grounded universe, was your comic inspired by the Ultimate Marvel Universe before Jeff Loeb did Ultimatum, or is it, or was your comic also inspired by Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker?
Yeah, not the Ultimate Universe at all, really. But yeah, definitely Spider-Girl, the family aspect of it. Not a lot of Spider-Girl, but I'm sure you'll find hints of it, just, you know, unconsciously. because I love the character so much. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of different references I had with this book, and Spire Girl definitely was one of them.
I would say that would be a fair question because your book is very grounded with family issues and family relations, and a big thing about Mayday's story is that, you know, her relationship with her father, but again, totally different relationship than what Invulnerable has with Casey. You know, there's a totally different relationship there.
Yeah.
Where would you rank the father and worst fathers against fathers that you thought were terrible and okay. So out of all the comic book shows and movies and books out there, all those bad fathers out there, where would you rate Invulnerable on that scale? So I mean, you got some fathers who are like Jonathan Kent, who is totally awesome father.
Yeah.
You have totally opposite end of the spectrum on Young Justice. You have the TV show. You have someone like Sportsmaster with Artemis. So, like, and there's all different kinds of people in between there, like Invincible's father and so forth and so on. So where would Invulnerable be placed on that list?
I would say more like Omni-Man, like we were talking about with Rashawn. Definitely not the extent of Sportsmaster. I don't think Invulnerable will punch Casey in the face at all. I don't think that's going to happen, or, you know, just not care if she dies. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't think he's as good as Jonathan Kent because, you know, Jonathan Kent stayed with Clark. So, yeah, I would say it's not the middle. I think he's leaning more towards the Sportsmaster side, but he's not that bad.
All right, Kat, you want to check for any more questions while I'm checking some more of these? All right, SMDOWNH9 asks, that was their question. Where would you rate?
Mm-hmm.
And then Charlie Molina asks, question for women behind comics. Do the comics you write, especially female ones, represent you in a way, or how you want females to be in society? Kat, since this is your first comic book, I'm going to let you sit and ponder that for a while,
Okay.
while I ask Kelly this. Since you've written a few more, you have a little bit more experience with writing different female characters, so I want to get your opinion first.
Jamie and I kind of split up the character creations because I have a partner that works with me, and when we write, it's working against each other sometimes. Sometimes we write together, sometimes we're writing against each other. It's kind of like a game, and I very rarely beat her. I notice that sometimes the women that we create do kind of mirror ourselves. I created a character, and I purposefully inserted my Creole heritage into it because I thought it would be funny and endearing, and that was a lot of fun. There was another character I created where I inserted feeling like a loser in high school, so I put that in there, and there is a character I know I created who just kicks a lot of butt, and I just wish I were more awesome like she was. But I don't. It's not to the point where it's like Mary Sue, because I really hate that. She's definitely got a lot of faults, but just putting that in there. So it's really scattered throughout different characters, and then once you start that embryonic age, start in that age, then really grow and develop people, and really surprised as you write them.
I was going to say, how do you keep from going to Mary Sue level? Because, you know, that's the thing I think a lot of writers have a problem with. New writers, I should say, because and even some of the older writers, they have a problem with going, you know, you take the Mary Sue aspect of it, where, you know, your character is the perfect character, and no one's perfect. Even if you really truthfully get down and analyze yourself, you have as many flaws and faults as anyone else in the world.
The first thing you have to do is ask yourself why you're writing the story, because people who write Mary Sue characters are often doing it for wish fulfillment, or they just want to make a character that they've got the hots for come to life, and that's where you really get some of your Mary Sue coming in. And some people are just not really, they don't have good feel for making that character happen, and they need a little practice. A lot of people do make Mary Sue's when they first start out, and they don't even know it. Since they don't know what a Mary Sue is, nobody's had that talk with them yet. It can be a mistake, and it's okay. Everybody makes that mistake. But after that, just ask yourself why you're writing this story, and then let your character make really stupid decisions. Let them be themselves. They are going to stumble around and do really dumb things, and laugh at them. Don't try to protect them. Don't be like the overprotective mother. You don't want precious baby to get hurt. Let them get hurt. It's not there for you to just hold down under your thumb, but they are actually there to entertain you, so let them entertain you.
Really good advice. Cool. Definitely.
That's really great advice, especially with the Mary Sue's, because I think, like I said, a lot of people walk that dangerous line with Mary Sue's, and it's a really great advice to, how you said to approach it, Kelly. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kat, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, my characters, you know, I feel with writing, you either put yourself into a character or you just don't. For me, you don't want to be judged when you're being written, so you don't want to put your character totally in your first story. Definitely not. So Casey's not a lot like me, but I'm sure there's, like we've talked about before, there's aspects of characters that are like me. Stephanie.
Or sarcasm.
Sarcasm. That's what we keep going to, and I'm sure as Jay reads issue 1, it's like, Kat, like that's totally you. Or like any of my, you know, people that are close to me will say that, and I never noticed it. It's just as you're writing, you don't notice it that you put yourself into a character. I'm not purposely saying I'm writing this character to be exactly like me, because none of these characters are me. As we said before, I'm from, you know, a two-parent home. It's very different from Casey. So you draw from different things. So how you want females to be in society, like I've been saying, just don't make them full. Make them, like what Kelly was saying, make them make mistakes. Make them cry, make them sad, make them badass. You just got to give them a lot of different dimensions and not just think of one. It's like, she's just badass, that's why she's awesome. No, she's got to do other things too, or he has to do other things. Well, we're talking about females, but yeah, so she has to do other things also.
Yeah, and I would actually throw in that you should never make any character, male, female, anything, a victim all the time. You know, like bad things happen to someone, you know, they can fall, they can stumble, but I think what is most interesting about a book is how they pick themselves back up. So, like, don't always make your character the downtrodden person. You know, you can show them being like Peter Parker with the bad luck, but also thing about Peter Parker is how he comes out of that. And I think a lot of people tend to, especially with females, make them more of Peter Parker's bad luck, but without the getting back up part. You know, it's like bad things just happen to them, and that's it.
I think a good example of that is Legend of Korra, actually, where Korra, yeah, she gets in a lot of bad luck, but she always gets herself back up, and that's the always interesting aspect of her. So I think Korra is a really good example of a female character you should be following if you're trying to write something with dimensions, definitely, and go through hardships.
Exactly. All right, Sky Showman says, point of a female creator question. I think when you're a creator, one of the coolest things is freedom. Like you said, you can do whatever you want with your characters. What is one of your coolest elements you always wanted to see in a female character that you had the freedom to implement into one of yours? I do enjoy the element of surprise, so I understand if Comic Uno can only hint at that.
Yeah, coolest elements. Yeah, just creating your own world is really interesting, and I would say, like, really creating the, I can't talk about it, but really creating the foundation of where the story goes, and especially towards the climax of you know, how the story forms. Again, I don't want to reveal too much, but that's the coolest element, is really like you questioning like what the hell is the story about, and then when you finally clicks, like that's what I want to say. And but Like Father Like Daughter is a little bit easier than the story I'm writing right now. I'm really still trying to like figure out what I want to write, but Like Father Like Daughter took months also, so it just takes months to figure out your characters, and yeah, definitely.
All right, Kelly, how about you?
I'm one of those people that really like Codex abilities and powers, but I'm more interested in the psychology. And after writing for one of my female characters for a long time, one of them turns out to be genderqueer. And it's a really dark, twisty, windy path, and finally it reached this climatic moment, and I typed it out, and I was like, oh my god, what happened? Like, that's great, but I was just like, wow, okay. So, not going to say who it is, but yeah, that was really shocking, and I just thought, this is awesome. You never see this in comics. Never. You never, because who's going to take a sexy character and then decide, oh, they're genderqueer now? They're not going to do that. They just
That's
won't.
true.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, like, when you're writing, you're even shocked, like, whoa, I didn't really expect that. That's how you know you have a good twist.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start wrapping up right now. I think we got all the questions done, and I want to ask Kelly and Kat, out of the two questions that we got based on the question I asked, which one do you think hit home most with that?
I don't know, like,
Would you go with Charlie and
Kelly.
Melina's question or Scotty Shulman's question? The first one or the second one?
I'm going to let Kelly do this one. That way she can pick the winner.
Okay. Kelly.
I really enjoyed, well, I think I really, they're so hard. Both of them are such great questions, honestly. I'm going to have to pick Charlie's, though, because we ended up branching into talking about Mary Stu's.
Okay. So, Charlie, you're going to be getting that, I think that was all new X-Men.
You have 3 comics, Charlie. You back some.
Oh, my God. I'm so jealous. I want this.
It's a really good issue, too. I mean, any issue with Miles Morales right now is pretty good.
It is.
When it's written by Brian Michael Bendis.
So, I don't think any. Yeah, go on. I was going to say, I don't think any Marvel books are my pick of the week this week, but one came close. I'm not going to spoil it, but one did come close that someone has. So, there you go. You're reading a really good book.
All right. Let's see, Kelly. Do you have any last thoughts on Kat on her project Like Father Like Daughter, or Short Fuse Media on their aspect of putting this book out?
Kat, what's your dream project? I know that Like Father Like Daughter is, I can see that you're going to really take this to a lot of places, and that's awesome. So I just want to ask you, because I know I started asking myself this when I started out, what is your dream? Like, what do you ultimately want to do your career?
So my dream with this project or another project?
Like, in the future, what do you want to tackle?
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Branching off from this one. Or it could be just something that you want to use Like Father Like Daughter to do.
Yeah, I mean, just going, I'm going to use the Like Father Like Daughter one, and then, another story I want to tackle. I mean, Like Father Like Daughter is like everything I enjoy in one, so it's become a dream project. And I would love to see another, I would like to see Short Fuse Media and us just really put this in comic book stores and people enjoy it. But going back to maybe another story I would like to tell, I always like celebrity culture. You get to see that a little bit with Like Father Like Daughter because Invulnerable is very popular. But I'm going to say my next story is about a celebrity and superheroes, and a female celebrity. So I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm very excited to write it, but still trying to discover what I want to write with it. So yeah, that's something I'm writing. But yeah, I Like Father Like Daughter is everything I love. So but I'm sure as I write more stories, I'm gonna, especially this one, I'm sure I'm gonna fall in love with it also.
Cool. Kat, as a female writer who's new to writing comic books, and Kelly has written a few already, what would you like to get from Kelly? You have an opportunity here to ask someone who's written books. Yeah. What would you like to get from her? Pick out of her brain. a nugget.
Yeah. So what is it like, the experience of putting your book out there and letting people read it and then hearing people's comments about it? What's that experience like?
um, I I was working. I'm working with Howard, my writer, the guy who hired me to illustrate Transhuman, and he was fretting a bit over the fundraiser, and I said, "You got to stop. Let the future go, because if you're gonna make it, it's you can't worry that much about fundraising. You cannot fear failure if you want to be successful. But the second thing about that is when you make books, you make it out of love, and you certainly can't expect a lot of money. And I know that part kind of sucks, but and then you talk about this in context. Really want to think about the long run and where your career is going to go from there. You want to look forward to having a library full of books. You want to look forward to the person that is going to look up to you with that look in their eyes, and you will get it if you don't already. I mean, you already have a lot of fans, and that's fantastic. But you're going to get some kid in Detroit or in Southfield running up to you and saying, "Are you so?" And you're going to say yes. And they're going to be like, "Yeah, I know who you are, and you're amazing because you inspire them." And that's really what it's about.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for. I mean, I've gotten people come up to me for Comic Uno, but it would be really cool for people to come up for me for my book and be inspired by it. So hopefully that'll happen. I think it's a very grounded story where people can relate to. So hopefully it will.
Yeah. And don't let people say, "Oh, you do comic books," like, look down on that, because you are writing books. Comic books are still books. And no matter what, you're improving literacy. Book design is extremely important, because if you didn't have a good looking book, nobody would want to read.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you said, comics improve literacy. A lot of kids don't want to read Mark Twain. They don't want to read, Of Mice and Men, because I know those are books that I had to read in school. I liked them, but because I just like reading novels too. But I know a lot of people who, when one of my teachers offered a chance to read any comic book that you wanted, the the change in outpours of people who want to get up and do an oral book report on it drastically increased because they actually read the content. So whether they may not read Shakespeare right away, but it could lead into it, especially when you got people who are like Greg Wiseman, who take from classic literature like Shakespeare, and he throws that into his book. So don't sell comic books short. There's a lot more to comic books if you look into them than you may originally have thought.
Yeah, and I think me and James
Yes.
critics could see that too, definitely.
All right, Rashawn, any last thoughts on the project, the future of the project, issue number 1, issue number 2, 3, anything that you want to throw in there?
No, I'm just really excited to see it all come to fruition. I'm excited for Kat. I think the first thing I told her once she said we hit the goal was I congratulated her, not even just congratulating my company and all the staff and the people that helped out, but I really wanted to congratulate her. I mean, this was her dream, and it's just, the reality of it is one way or another we have projects on deck. We were going to put out a project anyway, and for us it was like right place, right time when she posted that video and saying that, hey, I'm about to put out a comic and this is who I am, and if you don't know me, come check me out. And like I said, I went, checked out her show, and I had the pleasure of watching her 5,000 sub show, and it was like, oh, she's really in tune to what she's doing, and she gave me a different perspective on reviewers and things of that nature, because I have a couple that I watch. Kat knows a few of them, and it was just different watching her do it, and it was like, okay, well, she seems like she knows what she's doing, so let's jump in and see where we can take it. And just seeing this come from that point to the point where it's at now, to where we've launched a Kickstarter campaign, it's been successfully funded. We got projects going on, we got plans for the next, plans to continue it on, and just to see where it goes from here. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and I'm excited. I'm excited, and beyond that, I'm thankful for everything that's happened thus far, and just hope to see it go as far as it can go. I want that movie. I want that movie. I want that
Me too. Let's
blockbuster.
make it happen.
Yeah, I want that.
That's the goal that Kat is gonna be working for, and if she doesn't, I'm gonna push her. And I'm kind of pushy, as you can see. All right. With all that said, we're gonna wrap this up now, and don't forget, you still got time. There's still 37 hours left that you can support the Kickstarter, even though it's fully funded. Wherever they gain now will be going towards number 2, and maybe even improving number 1 beyond what you're going to get already. So the book comes out first quarter of 2015, and if you're a backer, you get your stuff prior to the release of the book. So that's an incentive to be a backer. And Kelly mentioned something, and I want to close out the show with it because it's the reason why I backed up Kat. And she said about not being susceptible to your fears. My father told me growing up, never let your fears eclipse your greatness. So go out there, be great. Don't let anything eclipse that. From Comic Uno, Short Fuse Media, Kelly Gilroy, I would like to thank everyone for watching and for supporting Like Father, Like Daughter's Kickstarter, and we hope that you're going to enjoy the book and that you'll check out for the Kickstarter for number 2.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Good night.